Thanks. See what I do.
I had to keep it secret. Really, really difficult.
Enemies are dropping into the area. Watch the skies. Check your gear and weapons. We'll be deploying shortly.
My dad ended up taking his life when I was 8. They actually took him down when I was 6 and moved away from home to train. But a lot of the coaches thought that being a person to the athletes is what gave them the best results. My first coach is looking at my dog. People don't know about this, but he'll get concussions all the time.
Enemy soldier incoming.
It's easier to get to them. So by the time I got those experiences, they didn't want to change.
And you snapped up a bunch of records, including the fastest ever win. Massive mission. Then,
Turned upside down. We had to disappear.
All stations, this is Shadow 01. Deployment to the war zone has been authorized.
Created a fundamentally sick environment, and I think he's still funny.
Before this episode starts, I have a small favour to ask from you. 2 months ago, 74% of people who watch this channel didn't subscribe. We're now down to 69%. My goal is 50%. So if you've ever liked any of the videos we posted, if you like this channel, can you do me a quick favour?
Provide the timer to secure redeployment. Earn points to speed up the countdown. Alright, we got you started. You finished the job. Enemies dropping into the AO.
Clear that the first potentially significant event
Hostile counter UAV overhead.
Yeah, I taking a bulk cord on my neck, and I was like a 0 on the APGAR scale, which is like the health of a baby when they're born. I was blue, they thought I was dead. It took a while to revive me, and I had some damage from that. Damage, which expressed itself as a motor speech disorder called hypoxia, which is basically I would have words formed in my head and try to say it, but there was kind of disconnect between my brain and my mouth, and it would come out differently than how I said it. So I ended up having to do many years of speech therapy to get over it. And sometimes I struggle a little bit, but I've dealt with it well enough where people don't notice. But doing things like pro wrestling promos and stuff where everybody will scrutinize you for like saying a single syllable, for not pronouncing every single word perfectly. Like if I just stuttered like I did just now, or mispronounced something like I did just now in a wrestling promo, I would be like hung over it. And so there's little things like that. But mostly it's not noticeable now.
was wrapped around your neck. The doctors gave you a 0 out of 10 in terms of your health when you were a baby. What age did you learn to speak properly? When they did brain scans, did they say something in your brain at that point because of your incident?
No, never like a brain
Hostile
scan.
Guardian is active.
Tested for deafness.
Time for vengeance. You're redeploying.
I say I didn't think this was diagnosed until after I kind of really got into it. It was actually like a fan, mom and her daughter that brought me like a pamphlet. And it was like, we've heard your stories.
You're losing ground. Move
I
it.
think what you got is this thing called proxy. And I was like, oh my god, this actually fits everything that I experienced perfectly. And we ended up having a walk for proxy here. I got to meet a bunch of different kids and stuff that were dealing with similar things. But yeah, it's kind of like newer on the field, being aware of it. But I think that's what made me delve into sports so much because, with judo, especially, like, if you're physically with the person, you have to put your hands on another person, you have to talk and interact with that person. And so when I was having a hard time, when we moved back to LA, like, really socializing with other kids, sports, specifically judo, made it, like, kind of to be able to, like, connect with other kids and have something to talk about.
What was home life like for you before the age of 10?
I mean, I thought everything was perfect.
You're back on station. Go get after it.
My dad passed when I was 8, though, and I didn't know, but he had broken his back in a sledding accident when we first moved to Florida, and he had
Loadout drop headed your way.
He couldn't heal, and so he had been receiving diagnoses basically saying he become paraplegic and then a quadriplegic and eventually die. And I didn't know that he was going through this or type of pain or anything like that. So he ended up taking his life when I was 8. But he'd been going through that for years, but had kept it from us. And so then my whole world turned upside down. And then my mom ended up remarrying a couple years later. And then when I was around 10, 11 is when we moved to right the border of San Juan and Venice.
Your father has
Enemies are dropping into the area. Watch the skies. Bounty targets are up. Get after them.
Yes. At some point, he broke his back, and it's a disease called Bernard-Soulier syndrome. Makes it difficult to clot your blood. It's like a platelet. Your platelets are malformed.
Only 25 left.
Yeah, and
Keep up the good
so
work.
he wasn't able to heal, basically, and he put a rod in his back to try to help it heal, but his spine was just crumbling away, so his spine was basically like falling apart.
He died by suicide.
Yeah, he said he didn't want his him to be laying in a bed with tubes running in and out of him. He was in a lot of pain all the time. But didn't like being, so he just wanted to go out.
Did you have any idea that he was suffering?
Stand by for redeployment.
I think Kevin.
So he's dead and then effectively he's gone. How did you find out that he died by suicide?
Right after it happened.
How does a mother explain that to an 8-year-old child?
I mean, she's a
Gas is closing in.
education psychologist.
Bounty targets marked. Kill them all.
Technically, I guess. She just kind of laid the facts out. This is what happened, and this is what's going on, and we wanted to keep it from you because she said that my dad just wanted us to be kids and not have to worry about it.
He told you the details of his suicide.
Yeah.
What impact does that have on you?
Hostile Mosquito is online.
I felt like it just kind of this feeling that I feel like everything's okay, that everything will come crashing down at any moment. And I guess I lost any feeling of security in me when everything's going great. I feel like the ball's about to drop, and that's something that I had to work through till this day. And I feel like mostly I can feel pretty secure with my life and where I'm at. But yeah, it played me for a long time.
You were close then?
Yeah, I was big time daddy's girl. Yeah, but as part of the speech therapy was my sisters were talking for me, and so he had to work a little bit of a drive from the house, so he would be in Devil's Lake during the week, and we'd come home to mine on the weekends. And so speech therapist said I should spend one-on-one time with parents, so I'm forced to speak. So my sisters can't translate my gibberish for me, and so it'd be me and him during the week, and we'd come home on the weekends.
Fire sale active. Buy station prices have been reduced.
It's almost unimaginable for people to try and process that in reality, and because I think it
Enemies dropping into the AO.
Concept of suicide, why a human could die by suicide, and at that age, what is the story you tell yourself in the book? You talk about how you tell yourself that he's just gone away on business and that he's going to return at some point.
Yeah, well, that's the only times that he would really be gone away from the house.
Resurgence window is ending. Watch your six.
So that was just kind of like what I told myself to cope for a while. But then I found out later that my grandfather committed suicide as well. So he was a second generation suicide.
Your siblings and your mother, the impact of the relation you had on them, was that noticeable? Did you notice a change?
My sisters did.
Primary objective complete. All targets eliminated.
Yeah, no one really wanted to talk about it at all. It wasn't like the kind of thing that we would bring up all the time.
Your mother at this time, she's a champion in her own way.
Yeah. In everything. She had a perfect score on the SATs at 16, graduated college at 19.
Fire sale's over. Adjusting price.
While she was working as a single mother engineer and getting her PhD in education psychology.
Wow.
Yeah, she's incredible.
When I was reading about her and doing some research on her, she sounds like a person who found. I wanted to see her. I found this picture of her.
That's mom.
She looks like a badass.
She is badass. She was the original related. She actually tore her knees out when she was 17 and had to learn how to win, basically just from the ground.
Resurgence has been deactivated. This is the end game.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and she was kind of like taught me how she did it. And, I had to do other things as well, but it's become like kind of a family heirloom as the armor. Yeah. Family armor.
I like to think that our childhoods and those sort of early formative experiences and the traumas that we experience, they leave fingerprints on us in various ways that follow us for the rest of our lives. For good, for bad, and sometimes for ugly. When you think about those sort of first 10 years of your life and the fingerprints that left on you as an adult and the person that sits in front of me today, what are those things that are most sort of ingrained in you from that time of your life?
Got gas moving in.
What's most ingrained in me from being a kid? I think, like losing a parent is a huge formative event. Have you ever read Blink by Malcolm Gladwell?
No, I'm speaking to him, but no, I haven't.
Yeah, he mentions that kids that lose a parent before they're 10 actually end up being more successful statistically than they play on. And it's like, well, he's the one that delved into his book. But when I was reading, I'm like, oh, I can see that makes sense in a way. And the apraxia and stuff, like really pushing me towards sports and like being physical and things like that. And being the youngest of a sister, so I was the one that was getting beat on at the house, so it made me tougher and wanted to constantly be able to like prove myself as, not just being a little baby, but deserving of respect and stuff like that. And that's kind of like made me into the kind of kid that when I first started swimming, I wanted to win the Olympics in swimming. When I first started judo, I was like, I just want to win the Olympics in this now. And but that was just how encouraging my parents were, They're like, oh, you want to swim? You're going to get it.
Only 10 were left.
That expectation that I could do.
They hit us hard that time. Let's regroup and get back up there, yeah?
When you had your first attempt and tried judo,
Yeah, I love swimming here, but I wasn't so much into swimming. It's kind of boring. And I didn't like waking up in the morning and jumping in a cold pool. So yeah, so after a little bit of that, I was like, kind of, I want to do something else. And my mom, she came here in judo. And so she went to go visit a bunch of her old teammates that had all kind of opened up clubs that all had tried it. And I remember my first day, I didn't even have a hair tie. My hair was all over the place, crazy. And I was like trying to figure out how to do judo. And I had the most fun that I ever had. Because I loved that there was no one way to do it. If it worked, it was right. It was kind of like mentally intriguing. You have to figure it out. You're like solving a puzzle. You're like having a conversation with another person, you know. And so, because it was so like mentally engaging, I think that's why I liked it so much. And when I won my first tournament, I got that feeling of winning that I didn't quite get in swimming. I was one of the top kids in the state, but I wouldn't like really win swimming meets. And so, first time I won something, I got like addicted to that feeling, I guess. So I actually dropped out of school when I was to be able to train and do judo full time and move away from home to train full time.
What was your mother's opinion on you doing judo? Seeing as she was a champion in judo herself, when her daughter turns around and says, "Mom, I want to do judo too."
I can't really say how she felt, but I mean, I was kind of like identified as being like prodigy of judo pretty young, and she wanted to kind of take an outside role of making sure that I was training with all the right people at the right time. She wasn't the person that was on, like she of course taught me everything that she could, but she didn't really want to be that overbearing coach mom on the mat. She was more like Iko Hiracho, this person, Iko Hiracho, that person was like the overarching like architect of my career and everything like that.
You went to your first tournament, you win the tournament with instant wins. It was, I don't know what it is.
The bonus, like if you have something flat, that's bad.
Okay, right. So you win that first tournament, people start considering you to be this champion of judo. What was it about, you look back at yourself now, what was it for you that made you excel above the players in judo? What was that about your character, something that you did?
In the area. Do what it takes. We've taken the lead.
But I think, yeah, part of it was personality-wise, but I just really wanted to win and the care.
We've lost the lead.
I mean, winning felt good, but it also really hurt to feel that the first tournament I lost and then locked myself in I was so upset, but I was willing to get my work and I was willing to care about something so much.
We've lost the lead.
I can, achieve it. And I don't know, I feel like the idea of being better at something than everybody else, it made me special somehow. It was like proof. It was also, it wasn't like I was dragging myself through doing it to be great at something because that's what it was. I really enjoyed like mastering the art of judo, like figuring it out. It was like endlessly training all the time. And I remember when I was 16, I like realized while I was, doing Newaza, which is fighting on the ground, that the end of one move was the beginning of another. And that's when I moved from like trying to memorize all these separate techniques to trying to combine them into like a path and like a web. And I didn't come up in, Newaza and judo is not the focus of the sport really. Maybe it's like 20% of the time people spend on the ground is less. But it wasn't like Gracie Jiu-Jitsu where they like show you, this is the way, this is the structure, no, it was very open-ended. And so I was kind of like, I had to create like my own like, system, basically my own fighting style, everything like that. It was interesting to me that I was like creating a philosophy and everything, concepts and how they piece everything together. And so I think that was the most interesting part. I could get trained for hours and realize I'm tired because I'm trying to piece something together. I think we was all like opposite ADD, right? Like fixate on things, like no person did, they can't be off of it. And when you tell me when I'm making ground, I'm tired, but if would tell me like if I had to try to figure out how to like do a certain punch a certain right way or do a certain throw a certain right way, I would do it for hours on end, trying to get it absolutely perfect and not realize that my time had passed.
Friendly UAV on
And
station.
sometimes it's like a negative thing where I'll fixate on something
Change your max.
given I did it like several years ago but not be able to stop myself thinking about it. But it was also the same thing that would keep me training on a single technique for hours on end, just trying to get it right. And my mom said when I was a kid, I would draw the same picture over and over and over again. Yeah, I remember
Reloading.
Wish the dream sucked.
UAV
Switching
online.
max.
I'd be like, what? Why do you keep drawing this picture over and over and over
Standing by.
And she said, the hands are all I'm just trying to get it
Enemy
to
max.
picture. And I didn't understand what I thought. And I pushed it non-stop and I drew it. Didn't look exactly like a bunny. And so I would keep drawing it over and over and over again to try to get it. And I guess that's like, you know, my personality, I guess.
Hostile
That I
FAE
can't
in
really
your
control
position.
for
Friendly
better
vehicles
or
are inbound.
worse.
And is that perfectionism? Is how you kind of define that? This obsessive, just making the thing perfect as you see it.
I don't think it's not perfectionism, it's mastery. Mastery and understanding.
Requesting recon
Friendly UAV
flyover.
on station.
Like a
Copy that.
unfinished
UAV on.
puzzle.
Friendly SAE on the way.
Because I can live in squalor, really. Excuse me. But yeah, maybe I want to understand something completely, and then if I don't completely understand it, I have to like keep
Flash out.
Picture. You go try the picture. You leave. The
Throwing
16 years old.
sensors.
I'm going to treat the picture.
Change your
This
max.
picture. Why did you go and live with him? For 8 months, roughly.
Oh god.
Friendly SAE inbound.
Years. So there. Well, Big Jim was one of the best coaches in the country. Jimmy, who had just won the 1999 World Championship for judo.
Friendly UAV online.
And judo is big in the U.S., so the places that are good at it and have good coaches and people train with for people and Pedro's judo is one of those places.
Yeah, leading at home at 16 is unusual to say
Friendly
the least.
SAE
Yeah.
on the way.
Why impacts that haven't you?
It was tough. It was hard. I was being unstable on. It's really isolating, you know. I was train all day, and it was many other kids my age. I was always
I'm reloading.
you know, part of being like a
Friendly
part of
UAV on
IGS,
station.
knowing your age is at your level, you know. So I was always training with people older. I also at the same
Friendly
time felt like I was
SAE
in the middle
inbound.
of my montage to do something like amazing, you know. I thought I was going to shock the world and be the first American renewable medal in June 17. And so, you know, it was worth it to me.
At this time, you're 16.
Switching max.
You have your first experience with what we call bulimia. You talk about this in the book, where because of the pressure for you to make weight almost every week, you struggled with bulimia. Can you, what do I need to understand about that? Because I don't understand what bulimia is.
Throwing
In
flash
the
grenade.
entirety of the don't understand the
Semtex out.
circumstances that would lead a 16-year-old to
Reloading.
make decisions that would be categorized as bulimic.
Halfway to mission complete. Maintain cargo helo is inbound. Keep it going. All operatives. Reinforcements are inbound.
Change your max.
And so I went up to Cupway to get there. And it started to give me like a really unhealthy relationship with
I'm reloading.
like more food while I was cutting weight,
Friendly UAV
candy
online.
bars and stuff like that. And after I made weight up,
Friendly UAV on station.
I didn't know anything. Resources to help me out with it. So
Friendly
just
Guardian
got
inbound.
disorder.
And then sort of would mean for what you need to have occasions.
That's the same
Yeah. I remember the first time I did it was a childhood coach or something took me and he like basically like forced me to have a chocolate shake. And he was like, no, you don't have a chocolate shake. My trainer
Throwing
was like,
Semtex.
Change
your max.
About the chocolate shake. That
Friendly cruise missile approaching target.
make weight or
Friendly
something
stealth
like that.
bomber inbound.
It there's no way they could.
Time is half over.
I made myself
Maintain
go
the lead.
chocolate shake, and it was actually like it was cool. It didn't hurt. It was that bad. I was like, oh well, that wasn't even that terrible. And so I thought it was like a one-time thing. Next time,
Don't shoot me, you bastard!
I was like really guilty about it. It just became like panic button.
Took
Like,
around!
ran me a certain way. I felt like it was the only thing I could do. Now, I was that was growing. I grew 4 inches and doubled my weight in a short period of time, and so I just couldn't
Friendly SAE
stay
on
up.
the way. Over halfway to mission complete.
I have all this outside pressure to be able to maintain the same weight, even though because now that you're growing and putting the muscle and getting taller. It's kind of like fighting the turn. Yeah, in school, it wasn't cool for, little girls to be muscular back then, so before I dropped out at 16, I was really muscular, and
Cargo helo is
members make fun of me all the time, to the point that I would just come a burst in the hoodie all the time, no matter how hot it was. So I'd always try to cover up my arms, how muscular I was, which is one of the reasons why I got older and trying to fight that idea that being muscular was not something became that, pure teenage girls in the early 2000s.
Watch out!
Things were represented of us, so yeah, I didn't fit the very scope of what was considered attractive as
Switching match!
Friendly SAE on the way.
now it's considered really cool for women to just have this amount stuff like exhibition, stuff like that, and are doing boxing and all this stuff, and we look toned, but that wasn't the case back then. That was something that I got teased.
Anything you leave home and you come off to, you leave home as you said because you feel like you wanted to have some control of your life. And I think you're in room 2, the other person, you're thinking about it, there's opportunity, community information,
Good work.
first, coming together, and then pick it up. And then,
After I got to results. $10,000 in my tax. I was actually bitched about it so much in the media when I was doing MMA that they got rid of that tax, but still, we don't get $10,000.
Is there like a bit of a through line in your story that starts very young about this idea of the importance of validation and respect from other people? This is a bit of a chip on your shoulder.
Yeah, I think it started out as something that drove me, and then it ended up being something that held me back, that I had to kind of shake myself from. But, I also benefited greatly from it, so I'm not saying I regret anything, but I know that it wasn't a sustainable model for me to, be happy in the long run.
Because I spoke to Tim Grover, who trained LeBron and Kobe, and he said this tidbit to me. He said, when he's talking about Kobe and she was training him to be a champion, our dark side and our light side are interconnected. When he's talking about our dark side, he's basically saying the trauma, the difficult things about us, the things that we probably keep in the shadow if we could, they end up creating the greatness that we see on the screens. And it's like you can't separate out the two. You can't just have this person and not this person, unfortunately. But he makes the case to me that we all have a dark side. And unfortunately, it's as I say, it's responsible for our light side. I see that throughout your story, this sort of journey to understanding that part of you. And as you say, you've got liberating yourself from it. Which very interesting because I've been trying to do something in my life. I've been trying to take back the control of some of it because as you said there, it can lead you to the top of the mountain and then it can sometimes bring you down the other side or it can make you miserable at the top of the mountain.
I think I had to get to the top of several mountains to realize that
taken the lead.
That's a Ronda Rousey thing. Just watching that shit.
We've secured the lead.
You can call it and talk to it, and it's free.
Ronda Rousey thing is kind of interesting. Like,
that I would be able to, like, I did this thing. Now I could be happy forever. Like, my idea was, I'm like the first American going to the Olympics in judo. Then I will be happy for the rest of my life. And it's not. It didn't really work like that. Like, I could, yeah, achieve these great things, and it would make me happy for a time, but your life goes on past that. And so I kind of had to figure out after a whole bucket list of experiences that how to actually get to getting at times. Like, something that reminded me the other day, I remember when you put the Thunderbirds, I'm like, oh yeah.
Switching knives.
And then they didn't equate to the actual happiness. So I had to, I thought that if I, like, make my past into something that I'd done all these great things, and it would dictate my future. But I had to figure out that, like, making myself happy with every day that I would, that what I needed to do. And there was no amount of accomplishments that you can, like, add to, you know, your trophy shelf that are going to equate to being happy for future.
It sounds like you were living with a bit of a secret throughout your sort of early MMA career, and the fact that you had what appeared to be a bit of a concussion-based training. Because in your book you talk about how you realised that in sparring, if someone hit you pretty hard in the head, you'd end up seeing stars.
Yeah, I mean, people didn't really know about CTE back when I was doing judo, and I would get concussions all the time, and just be told that, you know, hey, I had photo vision. I would say it like stuff like that. Just stop being and keep training. And so I would get, you know, dozens of concussions and never be allowed to stop. You know, and keep training through them. And the symptoms would persist for weeks. So the point that I was experiencing concussion symptoms more often than I wasn't for a 10-year judo career. I mean, these CTE, all these football players that we're dealing with were having concussions repeatedly and not being allowed to rest. And so by the time I got into MMA, like, this is the kind of injury that accumulates over time. You know, it doesn't go away. Every time you get a concussion, it's easier to get another one. And so by the time
Throwing flash grenade.
it was really easy for me to get concussion symptoms. And
Getting overrun.
years, you know, so I just got worse and worse and worse with time, even if I'm winning a fight.
Hostile UAV in the area.
15 seconds, the other person doesn't touch me, there's 50 rounds of sparring that went into the training camp. And you're wearing like a
Eso, carajo! There's snipers down!
Belts are 14 ounces, and right anchor, so your brain is, you know, suspended. Like the larger the thing is, like it's 14 ounces. A concussion, you're smoking. And it's the kind of thing that I just didn't want to, like, say anything about. You know, I didn't want to address it myself or any kind of weakness in myself. And I just kept telling myself that I just have to be perfect and not allow these people to touch me. I have to create this fighting style that's so efficient that I don't take any damage. And he got to a point where I thought Sarah
Friendly mosquito deployed.
after me, and obviously I
Maintain our path. Keep up the
Come on,
rate. Friendly precision airstrike inbound.
lights off. And I was looking for a way out.
Friendly mosquito active.
To stay in that forever. But yeah, it's got to the point where if I got like tapped at all, but the, you know, it's like Stephanie McMahon's laugh.
Reloading. Throwing thermite!
Hostiles deployed. The remote turret.
After slapping she can slap me across the face and give me a concussion and be like, shit, right?
Would you keep this a secret?
Friendly mosquito deployed.
Even like myself, I just didn't want to face up to. I just thought that I could keep it going forever. And so that, like, I think was the most frustrating thing to me week or so, like
Friendly
maybe
SAE on the
a
way.
week or so before that.
I'm taking fire!
And it didn't say anything.
Hostile mortar strike near your position.
Changing mags!
Protection of the back of the bottom teeth. So the first time she taps me, my teeth get knocked loose, and I'm out on my feet. Like, I'm gonna say I'm on my feet. It means that, like I can't.
I'm getting lit up!
Depth perception, basically. And I'm in
Hostiles deploy the mosquito.
Range. The information that I could get from them. And so I knew that if she knew that I was hurt,
Dropping ammo here!
I would be able to defend myself. And so I had to keep coming forward.
Thermite out!
Not being fully open for my facilities, just to keep the fight going, hoping that I would recover, but I just couldn't. And so I think that's one of the things that
Contact!
really dug at me for so long, and so many people were saying like, "Oh, Ron's game plan was bad," whatever this, and they didn't know that I wasn't present. I was just trying to survive. I couldn't see how far away she was. It wasn't like that was my game plan or anything like that. I was completely disabled, and when I tried to fight again, and I was like, okay, I'll give myself
Hostile SAE near
break
your
and
position.
make sure the mouth is perfect, because I'm not gonna knock myself out.
Enemy
And
UAV
trying all
active.
those things. The same thing, I just got out. I was out. I was out. Feet out. So I just didn't have the hardware to continue fighting. A lot of people would say oh, you're a fucking quitter, you're this, and that. It's really difficult because I've never been more skilled as a fighter.
We're losing ground. Secure the perimeter.
I'm reloading!
Neurologically wasn't capable of continuing to fight at that level.
Standing
They
by.
couldn't say anything about it then. because
Loading.
They go do pro wrestling, and they
The
already
enemy holds
had
the lead.
their own
Clock ticking.
controversy that they had to deal with wrestlers having, CTE and all kinds of damage from concussions, and so it's such a volatile subject that I couldn't say anything about it. And I couldn't say
Requesting
anything
recon
about it
flyover!
leading into
Copy that.
my
UAV is on station.
last fight, because then I'm basically telling the other person that, I'm putting a target on my head, literally. So I just had to stay silent about it for years and let people make their own assumptions about me. And it was tough because in some ways I've never been
UAV is being fuel. RTV at this time.
I've never been master shock or everything else, but
Swapping mag.
you only have
They
some
cannot
hits that you
hold.
can take, and
Finish it.
I took the vast majority of those kids to jail.
Make sure I completely understand the context of
Friendly cruise missile deployed.
what it's like to get a concussion and to live in a concussion that ends up compounding to make it even more sensitive. You take those big hits when you're younger, they ask you to fight through the concussion. By the time you're in the UFC, you've developed this incredible style where you basically get people out of there instantly. I mean, leading up to your fight with Amanda Holmes, I think it's saying at the time that you'd submitted everyone within sort of 30 seconds.
Friendly
Before the fight
mosquito
started.
active.
So your style had kind of adapted to become I'm going to get this person out there immediately.
That was an accident. That was the goal. The goal was I had to be able to finish the person off immediately, because that was the only way that I could fight, is to not take any damage.
Because if they hit you in the head,
Hostile UAV in the area.
that you would get a concussion.
Reloading.
Whereas your coaches weren't.
No.
Any of your coaches were.
No.
Because
The enemy holds the lead. Fight back. Argo Hilo is inbound. All operatives, reinforcements are inbound. Hostile SAE incoming.
Everyone wanted to make me stop. I didn't want to stop. I didn't want to make that decision. I didn't want to go. I was like, we continue to fight. I didn't want those decisions to be taken out of my hand.
in your book you talk about the relationship you had with Edmund.
Enemy
That was
UAV
always
active.
great in terms of his approach to coaching. You talk about how he would physically strike you during training, but more severely, he would emotionally abuse you during
Friendly
training.
cruise missile approaching target.
And honestly, I can't think of a single coach that I have a great relationship with. Like, this is like
Watch your aim!
that, like,
I'm reloading.
early kind of generation of like, they thought that being abusive to the athletes is what gave them the best results, and that was kind of what was like in vogue at the time. So,
Switching
kind
mags.
of like, all right, well, this is what I have to do in order to get the best, and especially with like these sports where you have no other choice. Like, this is like a 12-team coach. You have to get their approval, put up with their shit, and be able to fight that. So when I
Throwing thermite. Changing mags.
they not as bad as previous coaches, so that's why I put up with a lot of stuff.
We're getting overrun. Fall back.
Like, talk back. The other coaches would just, you know, like, little Jimmy, my first coach, literally, like, dislocated my jaw as I was a little kid. I threw him once in front of everybody in one. It's awesome. And he threw me on the benches on top of the table and everybody else beating the hell out of these people. And, you know, and Jim had, like, grabbed me by the throat or to, like, drive his boat home that woman can't defend themselves. And so this is stuff like behavior that I've been conditioned to tolerate since I was, like, a little
Enemy
girl.
Overwatch Kilo inbound.
And, let's say, like, Eastern European kind of, like, school of thought of, like, you have to be, like, really tough and in order to make the best out of people. And,
It's the touch of emotions, though.
What's the
Because
limit?
we kind of, at the age of most of us,
Hostile remote turret detected.
you're suppressed, you're being made into this really quote-unquote tough person.
Hostile SAE near your position. Maintain our plans. Keep up the
just,
pressure.
like,
Friendly VTOL inbound. Friendly Wilson online.
except for, like, giving up to not I stood up for myself.
Switching mags.
And so it just kind of like taught me to, like, okay, I gotta make this person right.
Hostile Mosquito is online. Friendly precision airstrike inbound.
How to be creative or something.
Hostile AMS.
So
Active.
I think it's not so much one individual that's a huge problem. I think the whole system is a problem. And it really pushes this, like, powering that
Heavy armor supplies are inbound. The enemy is over halfway to mission.
Reloading.
And so, like, I don't see how, like, in school, you can have, like, a teacher, and someone comes in and watches the teacher teach, and everything on the teaching, like, nobody does this for coaching, and, you know, so I was reading stories about
Hostile motor strike in the
coaches
area.
that, like, children extremely it's not one person, it's not one sport, it's everything. And it's like,
Hostile drone is active.
I can't say that I have all the answers for it, but I can say that, like, coaching in general creates a really, like, unhealthy power, like, imbalance. That what I was able, like, what I was able
1
to
minute
take
remaining.
my relationship with Coach Edmund and take it from off the rails
Cargo
back
Kilo is inbound.
to have very distinct boundaries. You know, a lot of times your
Friendly
coaches,
UAV online.
so they, you know,
Taking
it's tough on
effective
you, but
fire!
also, like, they care about you, their parent, their brother, their coach too, but a lot of times it becomes
Hostile
like
UAV in the area.
an overbearing family member and
Friendly
coach,
mosquito
and she has
deployed.
to be both. That's why my mom didn't want to be
30
she
seconds
didn't want to
remain.
have to be my mom and my coach, because being both of those at the same time is inevitably unhealthy. And
Hostiles deploy the
when I put
mosquito.
boundaries in place of, like, okay, this is what your job is, and you're not completely outside of that. Then, you know, training was better than
10
ever.
seconds remaining.
Was better than ever, but I think, like, a lot of the lines and these boundaries get blurred, and they need to be very
Friendly motor strike is on the way. Hostile VTOL overhead.
Those lines blurred.
Mission failed. Return to base.
He was crossing them in terms of the things he was able to say and do.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it was like he just wanted to know where I was all the time, and like I needed to be constantly available and stuff like that, and or else it would like end up turning into like a big argument or something like that, and I would just end up just trying to like do anything I could to not get in an argument. And but yeah, like I had to like make a rule at one point. I was like, you're not allowed to FaceTime me because I don't want you to just FaceTime me and know where I am at all times and what I'm doing, because like it's my fucking business, it's my privacy. And it was just, he was always trying to push that boundary, and I was always pushing back and stuff like that. And but I was like, I don't know. I a lot of times I'm like, I just want to train. Like I would be just trying to like placate him, because if I like just stop talking to him in an argument, then it would end up leaking into training the next day. And so it just became like really like taxing of like my energy in general. But like, I mean, I can't really think of a single like coach relationship that I had that was like perfect, but it worked, you know. That's the one problem that I had always had, like debating. I'm like, well, it's working, I'm getting better. And so you would just put up with it because there was no perfect option out there.
You said at the very start that you were very, very close to your father, and then when your father passed, these other men that almost take on what someone could liken to a fatherly role are all coaches.
Yeah. No, I mean, they were all like, what was it in Kill Bill that he was talking about? That Bill lost his father early, so he collected father figures. Yeah, I collected them. None of them were as good as the original. But yeah, I think that constant need for, you know, validation from a father figure was something that I was constantly like pursuing. But you know, that philosophy of coaching of, you know, you see like the Russian figure skaters, the gymnasts that.
Yeah. I mean, shit. I think what she talking about with the concussion thing is the dumbest thing, because I basically got concussions my damn self. You know, like I had got 2 concussions. One when I pretty much was wrestling. One was when I was doing MMA. Pretty much got hit so damn hard. Pretty much, I was seeing fucking stars. And then the second one, I got into a terrible car accident. Actually, no, 3 times. The third time, I think I got a concussion when the cops raided my damn house. Pretty much. The first time, I can say this. My first time I got the concussion was basically wrestling on a damn hill. And I got slung off a hill. Pretty much. I was little as hell. And I got slung off a hill. Full speed. Down the hill. Slung. Got a bad concussion. The second time I got a concussion was doing pro wrestling. Doing MMA. The guy hit me in training. It hit me so damn hard. I did not want to tell my coach that I didn't want to tell him that I had pretty much headaches and that shit was basically hurting like a motherfucker. But shoot, I went through it. I fought through it pretty much, and I went the distance with the guy for my first fight. But I had a bad concussion, really bad, pretty much. I had a really bad one. And then the third time I got a concussion was when I got into a terrible car accident with me and my mom. She was driving. She was driving in the city, and I'm trying to remember. She was driving in the city, and we stopped at a light. And then as soon as the light was green on our side. We didn't stop at the light. That's what my brain keep on basically playing. Like, did we stop or did we go? The green was the green, and we basically was driving there, and the light was green. But on the opposite side where the truck was basically, where we got hit by a truck, it was coming. And the truck was coming while we was basically going straight through the light while it was green. The truck ran through the light, ran through the what's the name, like, when it was red. On their end, hit us, T-boned us, pretty much. We spun out of control. My mother's door was caved in on one side pretty much on her side, but she couldn't get out the car, pretty much. My mom armed in her, I think she busted her lip or something. Her mouth was bleeding, and she had like a scar on her forehead right here, and I think she had like scratch marks on my arm. That was some bad arm, but she broke her arm or something like that. She didn't break. It was just the glass from the crash hit her, cut her. What's the name? I think the glass kind of cut her on the top of her forehead too, pretty much. It just T-boned us. And as soon as I got out the car, a little bit I can remember of that accident was a little bit of the accident I remember is when I got out the car. I pretty much tried to stand up, and if you get into an accident and you got rocked, bro, you got like a crazy concussion, everything feels shaky. Everything. That's why I basically get banned at UFC for the stuff they do in the game, pretty much. You cannot dodge, or you can move, but your movement is way off than what you think it is, pretty much. So when I tried to get out the car, pretty much, because I was going straight to that guy who basically hit us, because he jumped out the car like he was going to do something. I was trying to get out the car to get him, but my legs was not trying to agree with me, so I basically like got out the car, slipped on some glass because it busted both of the windows, the front door, all the windows actually busted windows, the sides and stuff like that. And I tried to get out the car, slipped on the glass, and when I tried to get to him, couldn't. My balance was all messed up, so I was like, "Yep, I'm just gonna sit in my dumb ass, man." So I sat down, and I think people who basically heard the accident called the ambulance, and they called the ambulance. The ambulance came and basically picked us up. They was asking the guy what happened. The guy was basically trying to make dumbass lies, said they ran through the light and all that stuff. And then people who basically seen it happen pretty much said, "Nah, he's lying." They basically, their light was green and his light was red. He basically went through his light pretty much. And that's how we went to court. My dumbass bought a damn dumbass bike. What a bike. Got into a terrible accident with that bad boy. Got a bad concussion on that one. And so that's like 5 times I got a concussion. 5 times. And I never said, like, I basically did the similar thing that Ronda Rousey just basically explained. She's like, that she basically didn't want to tell nobody. It's not that I didn't want to tell nobody. I think that was going to stop me from basically trying to get to where I want to get to, pretty much. So that's the reason why I didn't tell her. Ronda Rousey, that's kind of crazy. Your whole life you had a concussion. You should have told somebody you was going through this whole problem, pretty much, before you took that fight with Holly Holmes and Amanda Nunes. You know, they straight up hands. They ain't freaking what's the name. Your thing that you doing is what was it? Judo. Judo is throwing them down, getting a submission, boom, slam them. It's mostly slams. Judo is like taking their momentum and using it against them, pretty much. She couldn't do that with Holly Holmes or what's the name. And hey, I deeply apologize for what I said about Ronda Rousey, pretty much about the whole thing. I really want to hear about this WWE thing that she was talking about, pretty much, because in my eyes, Ronda Rousey was not a good wrestler whatsoever. She was not a good wrestler. She made all the wrestlers pretty much. She made freaking Natalia. Well, not. I think what's her name? What's that big chick? What's her name? The one who injured people. Forgot her name. Is it? Was it Jax? Nia Jax. She made Nia Jax look good. Pretty much. Because when she came into wrestling, when Ronda Rousey came into wrestling, what's the name? I was like, I don't know if this is gonna work. Pretty much. And when she did that match with Charlotte Flair and Becky Lynch, when she did that match with them two, that match was butchered. It was horrible. It was a horrible fucking match. And then she did another pay-per-view where she did a match with her best friend, supposed to be a best friend who basically was saying that was a horrible match. So they didn't basically do no wrestling. They were just trying to do MMA moves and basically trying to confuse it with wrestling and stuff like that, and it didn't work. It was just not at all. Pretty much. It's a lot of wrestlers that basically can transfer to different sports, pretty much. Like Ken Shamrock had the ankle lock. He was really locking motherfuckers up the ankle lock. her name with his Olympic background and pretty much doing what's name, what she had a background in gym, what's name, Olympics and all that stuff. He was a wrestler, pretty much. But all the rest of these wrestlers and what's name, like Brock Lesnar and all that stuff, pretty much it. He has a background into wrestling and all that stuff, which he can basically transfer and go to UFC, do UFC stuff. No, he's not a good striker, but he's a basic wrestler. I say Brock Lesnar to me. I would say Brock Lesnar to me is a brawler mixed up with a wrestler. Pretty much, he'll get you on the ground and beat the living breaks off you with the utmost disrespect. But when it comes down to striking, no, Brock Lesnar is not a striker. It's not. He's a brawler mixed up with a freaking wrestler, and he'll rush the fuck out of you fast as shit. That was it, bro, in UFC, very much. And I hope in the future we actually get another. We get Brock Lesnar back, pretty much, man. I don't know if we are going to get Brock Lesnar back because this whole lawsuit and stuff like that. Pretty much. There's a lot of fighters I would love to see in UFC. Pretty much. Nope, we get Brock Lesnar. Nah, if they do bring him, they should have his damn speed in the goddamn game. Pretty much how fast he was when it comes down to listening. That motherfucker will hit you like he playing like y'all playing sports. Shit, like y'all football and shit. Pretty much. He creates so much speed and get to you real fast and get that takedown. And you're like, dang, fast as shit. Watch some. I'll say this: go watch some UFC. Go watch UFC Brock Lesnar matches and show me and basically and prove me different that Brock Lesnar not like prove me that he's not a brawler. And they'll let you know that he was. He's a brawler. Pretty much. He didn't know how to strike. Pretty much. He just know how to wrestle. And that was basically giving him the damn fights, but to the point that he was named. His first fight, I think he basically lost against Frank Mir. Frank Mir locked him in an ankle, ankle lock. And basically he tapped. And he came back, did the match against Frank Mir, the one that's pretty special. And then he knocked out. I'm gonna go back and watch his fights, man. But yeah. I'm not playing this game for this long period of time because, as you see, my connection is not hot right now. I try to play Warzone. I'm basically like jumping and all this stuff pretty much. And this is the day by day basis that I deal with on a daily basis. Like I don't deal with nothing new on this game, but this crap. So for people basically coming in and telling me don't give up. I gotta give up on this one. I have to because this connection is unbearable to deal with right now. And usually I can basically go for somebody else and play my game, but really I don't have nobody else to go to, so I'm just gonna cut the game off and basically sit and probably I want to go to my comic server. I don't have the money to go to up there, so let me take a trip up there. So I'll see y'all people later, man. Y'all be safe and take care. And peace out. Really suck when you want to play a game.